Praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome to LinkedCouples Ministry, a ministry of Bethany Church, the Transformation Church of New Jersey. We're so glad that you have joined us this evening. Please do us a favor and share if you can at this time. This is our ministry for our married as well as engaged couples. Again, we're so glad you joined us. Please do us a favor and share. I am Pastor Nick. This is the wife, Reverend Smith. We've been talking to y'all for the past few months about vulnerability and some other things. If you missed them, please go back and check those videos out as we talked about vulnerability. Today, we'll kind of do like an open discussion, open dialogue. And I was thinking about how in any successful relationship, a friendship must be the first thing that's established. And because where there is a friendship, there's a certain measure of treatment that is just at the general base of that relationship. So if we're at odds as husband and wife, our friendship should be able to keep us from being petty, vindictive, and well, it depends on your view of friendship too. Right? But if the person's your friend, not saying they gotta be your total best friend, but your friend, you're able to navigate certain waters. And I think a lot of relationships, when I do marriage counseling, often discover there's a skipped process. They try to jump right from we cool to now we dating to now we're married. And they built no foundation of friendship, no foundation of real trust. I'm like, so how long, what was the time space between, y'all met, got married? They tell me, I'm like, so y'all skipped a whole bunch of steps, just no marital counseling, you basically married somebody you didn't even know. And then wondering why, I'm still trying to get to know this joker and things aren't working out right. But I think that we're talking to married couples now. It is possible also to be friends and then end up losing that friendship in the process. But to me, you can talk about this as you give therapy to your clients, kind of jump on this topic of building those foundational things, but also once a person is married, helping to reestablish those foundations or even lay a new foundation that was never laid in the first place.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think one of the things you mentioned earlier too is like the importance of definitions and defining what friendship is and what each other needs and what the expectations are in that. You have to establish those things in the very beginning. And friendship, while it helps you navigate challenges, should also create a bond and fun and a feeling of comfort and safety when you're with the person. So there needs to be some level of like collaboration. There needs to be feeling of like love and attachment. And I don't know how you get into a marriage with someone that you don't even feel like a strong bond with them.
Right.
So that says to me that people fantasize about marriage and what it means. And they have this expectation of a future thing without doing the groundwork of what it takes to get there. You don't just, marriage is one of those things that is like the culmination of things that are already built and established and not something that you do after the fact. Yeah. You don't wait till you get married to try to establish a friendship or a bond or a connection with someone. And I think that is the mistake that people make, is thinking that marriage is somehow going to help the two come together and create something that should already be there before you even think. I mean, I don't even think marriage should be a conversation until you have established those things up front.
Yeah. I think it's, again, people fall in love with the idea of marriage. We're going to be in love. We're going to have fun. We're going to honeymoon. We're going to do all this stuff. We're going to have kids. It's going to be great. And then all of a sudden, when you have your first baby and you can't sleep and y'all fighting because you're tired, and it's just this whole thing that happens because we love the idea, not the practice of it. The other thing is learning how to, I think this goes back to foundational stuff, evolve with the person. Something we kind of talked about before. She's older than I am. She's 42. I'm still 41. God. So, we've been together since we were in high school, but I cannot relate to 42-year-old Tiff like I did 16, 17-year-old, right? Because shut up, everybody know how old you are. So foundationally, everybody knows how old you are. Come on, foundationally, foundationally, some things can still be the same.
Yeah.
But I don't. I like some of the stuff I liked at 20. I don't like now, or I do like it, but I don't like it as much. And I think a lot of people lose in their relationship because they kind of get stuck in, this is who I married, and this is who they are, and then they're like, but you're changing on me. That's kind of what happens when you get older. You evolving with the person. You know, hopefully at 50, you don't like the same things. You may like some of the same things, which is okay, but some of the things at 50, you don't like, at 20, you don't like at 50 years old. You're 50. You've grown out of that. You're too old for that. You know, so kind of, let's talk through evolving with each other. But I think that starts with an openness. And because here it is, change can create an insecurity. I knew you as this and it made me comfortable. Then all of a sudden you start changing. Now it's like, I feel uncomfortable. I got to relearn a new person. Well, that's exactly what it's like. You have to literally relearn a new person.
Even on the there's like another side to that coin too, of people who start dating a little bit older and they feel like they don't have time, and they start having this mental challenge of, well, how long am I supposed to wait at this age to get to know somebody and go through that whole process? I ain't got the time for all that. Like, let's figure out where we are. If at this point in life you don't have this together, you got the wrong person, but I don't think it matters what phase of life you're in. You need to be able to have conversations and make sure that you're with someone that you can grow with and establish some type of connection with that is long lasting, because marriage is, this is a commitment for life. So you don't want to not have conversations that you need to have because you're rushing. Like, all right, I'm 50.
Yeah.
At this point, we are who we are, but I still need to make sure that we can have some level of like, all right, can we transition together? How are you when you're grieving? How are you when you're angry? How are you getting through conflict? What is your work ethic like? What is your level of patience and consistency? Don't nobody want to marry somebody that they don't have a clue how they respond to stress, how they...
You'd be surprised. Wait, don't finish.
No, that's it. I'm like, that's important. You don't want to wait and know the person.
Yeah. But I also think it's good to communicate those things too. So, the older I get, the more cautious, the more calm I've become. When I was younger, I like going out, like doing all this stuff. But if she related to me like, oh, you like going out? And I'm like, I want to stay home, And it's not that I never go out, but it's like, I have to communicate the change in me and why too, so the expectations can be in line. And then we can kind of talk together about, okay, what's a good meeting ground on, what's what, what's going to work for you, what's going to work for me, and what's going to work for each other. But we have to communicate our evolution.
How do you suggest couples do that when that creates conflict, where it's like, he want to be a homebody all of a sudden, but I still like to go out and do such and such and such and such, and we're so disconnected now? Is how do we encourage people to have those conversations productively when they start to do this?
I think it starts with understanding that those conversations will create conflict. Going in with the expectation that this is going to be a difficult conversation, this is going to be hard, but it's what we have to do. And here, Lord, and hope that we can act mature and work through it. I know that's hard, but surely work through it. So saying that sentence is like that, where somebody's becoming a little more chill, somebody's still open. It's compromise. It's, we can still go out, but do we have to go out as much, or can we find a time to connect in different ways? And it starts with both sides being self-sacrificial and both sides understanding that, look, I can sacrifice these things, but I can't sacrifice all of it. So let's find a good middle ground and let's do what works for each other.
I think that's a good point, because I don't think many people really understand how selfish they can be as it relates to what they want and desire, and how important it is to do just that. Like sometimes what we want and how we feel is we feel so strongly about it that we can't hear or collaborate with somebody else, and it becomes that the defensiveness starts to come in, a lack of conflict resolution. Then we don't problem solve. We're not solution focused because we only think about how we feel and what we need and what we want, instead of learning to collaborate with the person. That I know you feel strongly about that. I know that's what you need. So how do we find a middle ground? And instead of focusing on being solution focused, we fight for ground. And that the argument becomes about who's right versus collaboration, and it creates more conflict. And then that's why people end up in couples therapy, right? Because it's like, he's not hearing me, or you're not listening either, and then you get aggressive, and then you get passive aggressive, and then we're not figuring out a happy medium that works for both parties.
Yeah.
I
mean, and I think that's where when you said that, it brought up petty response. I'm just gonna do whatever I'm gonna do anyway, and just kind of forget you there. And it's like then you do more damage to the relationship. When now again, this is based off two couples that are willing to work together, and working through it. You have to be committed to working through the evolutions of life, and again, communicating them. And like you brought up a really good point. Solutions focus. We know what the issue is. Why we keep talking about it? How can we fix it? And then at the end of the day, there are some things where you may want me to do that I don't necessarily feel like doing, but if you're that important to me, how I feel at the moment, my love for you is more important than my feelings of not wanting to do it. If I could say it like that, and it's like, I don't have to do things that I feel like doing all the time. That's called being an adult. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be sarcastic when I say this, but that's part of maturity, is caring about somebody enough to do what's good for them, even though it may not be something you want to do yourself. And if both couples work like that, it can make the relationship firm, strong, because all of us do stuff we don't feel like doing for each other. I mean, it's just nature of the beast.
I think that brings up a good point too, when you're trying to like grow with someone, is why it's so important that the foundation of like-mindedness is in place when you're building a relationship. Because if you are with someone that you probably shouldn't have never been with in the first place, and then now you're trying to find this like happy medium with someone who doesn't share your value systems, who does not see the world the way you see the world, who does not compromise the way you do, who's impatient and inconsistent. And then you're like, but I love him and I wanted, I knew everybody told me not to get into this relationship. That makes it so much harder. So like-mindedness and having someone willing to work with you is important, because it makes having those conversations are hard enough. But it is even harder with someone who does not want to work with you. But if you have someone with willingness and that foundation is there, the conversation may be challenging, but you can work. It's easier to work toward a solution with someone who's saying, how do we fix this? And the willingness is there for them to say, I love you enough. Like, okay, I don't see it that way, but, but if it's important to you, it's important to me.
Right.
And I take an interest in what is important to you.
Yes. But again, it goes back to that selfishness. We're a very selfish culture, selfish society. It's always about what about me, what about me, what about me. I'm not getting everything that I want. But again, if in the trusting relationship, you're not worried about your interests, or you're not worried about your needs because the other person's meeting those needs. And there are times where, guess what? Some situations your needs won't get met. Meeting the other person's needs. It shouldn't be the foundation of the relationship. That should be occasional. There are times where I'll do things for her and she'll do things for me, where my needs won't get met at the moment. Hers won't get met. But again, it's what's best in the moment. But if that's every day, resentment's going to kick in. But a part of maturity is, look, I'd rather be doing something else. But bang.
And not see it as a slight.
Yes.
That's so good.
Because there are times where she may not have gotten what she wanted, but I got what I wanted. And it balances itself out. But it's occasional. Notice I said occasional. It's not all the time. Because then you're going to resenting the person, being bitter, and
But it's like like you're talking about, like a balanced scale of trust, where if I'm sacrificing something that I need at the moment to make sure that you get what you need, I trust that
Yes.
when I have something that's a deep need, that the scale will be balanced and that you're willing and able to meet me in another area. So that is so important that you have that compromise and that trust there to know that me letting go of something really important to me at this moment to meet your need is not a slight. And if you're with someone who that is not just an occasional thing, it's an all the time thing, then resentments and stuff start to build. And it creates way more conflict than necessary.
Yep. And on that too, if the person is doing it for you and they're not getting anything from it, show them some appreciation.
Right.
Like reward the person, some appreciate something to show I appreciate the fact that I know you didn't get what you wanted now because you were taking care of me. And here is my appreciation. Not you, my husband, you, my wife. You supposed to do this for me. Like,
I shouldn't have to tell
right. Show some appreciation because it just keeps everything intact. Just because somebody's supposed to do something and they do it, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't appreciate them when they do it. You know, it's just, oh, you thought she's raising it. So that's just foolish. We had to start working our way out. And we'll close on this. If we would learn to practice love, practice kindness, practice considering each other, but it all goes back to that trust and vulnerability we talked about for the past few months. It makes it easier to sacrifice a lot for the other person's benefit when they're doing the same thing for you. It just makes it so much easier. So, we want you to keep that in mind. Next month, we should be back. We should be in person. Third Tuesday in October. Join us. It's going to be a good time. As we come back, it's going to be online and in person. We'll be in person, stream it online also. We want you to join us for LinkedCouples Ministry for married and engaged couples. So come on out. And don't forget, tomorrow we have Bible study at 7:00. And we appreciate you all for watching this for this brief time. On behalf of Reverend Smith, myself, God bless y'all.